Hey my friends, welcome back to Headlines. As a woman, honestly, I don't think I'm cut out to be a mom and I don't want to have any kids either. But it doesn't bother me that there are some procedures that can help women delaying having kids if they're not prepared or unable to have one. And today let's find out things you need to know about egg freezing. It's a popular science article published on National Geographic. It is easy to understand except for some medical terms. But don't worry, I'll go through them one by one as usual. By the end of the article, you're gonna go like,
wow, you can really dance.
Can read an English article with no sweat. That's the power of consistent learning. So stay with me every week. Let's do it together. Egg freezing has existed since 1980s, but was considered a controversial experimental procedure until 2012, when the American Society of Reproductive Medicine approved it for women who were on the verge of receiving toxic cancer therapies that could destroy their fertility. It wasn't until 2 years later, after reassuring research about the practice's safety and efficacy emerged, that the ASRM gave the nod for egg freezing more generally. On the verge of something is to be about to do something. For example, their marriage is on the verge of breaking off. Safety and efficacy, 安全性和有效性. We talked about the efficacy in episode 136, where we compare it with effectiveness and efficiency. Give a nod for something is to approve of something, 认可或者同意了。2012年冻卵还只能提供给那些将要接受癌症治疗失去生育能力的女性。It wasn't until 2 years later that blah blah blah. It is the emphatic structure to stress that something doesn't happen before a certain point of time, which in the context is 2 years later. 直到2年之后才给了普遍的许可。What does the process entail? When a woman decides to freeze her eggs, the first steps include having a vaginal ultrasound to evaluate her egg supply and measuring her hormone levels. Then beginning on day 2 of her period, the woman self-administers daily injections of hormones for 10 to 12 days to cause a group of eggs to ripen in the ovaries. During that time, the woman will have a pelvic ultrasound as well as blood test every 2 to 3 days to monitor her response to the hormones. Usually after 8 to 14 days, she'll have a trigger shot of HCG to help the eggs complete the maturation process. After 36 hours later, she'll have a surgical procedure under anesthesia in which an ultrasound-guided needle is passed through the vagina and into the ovaries to aspirate the eggs, ideally 10 or more, to prepare the eggs for freezing. The cells surrounding them are removed. Afterwards, the eggs are then flash frozen and stored at a very low temperature. If a woman eventually decides she wants to use those eggs, they must be thawed and fertilized with sperm in a laboratory dish, a procedure known as in vitro fertilization. 3 to 5 days after fertilization, the embryo is transferred to the woman's uterus. A entails B is A involves B or causes B. 涉及或者是带来. For example, higher rewards always entail higher risk. National security entails the ability to protect the country's wealth and territorial integrity. Self-administer is giving medical treatment or test by oneself. Say self-administer medication, injection, or test. 自己用药、自己打针或者是自己做测试。大概就是先做超声评估卵子的情况和荷尔蒙的水平，然后自己打针同时监测荷尔蒙。当卵子达到成熟，做麻醉手术，通过阴道从卵巢里取出卵子，并在零下196度急冻。在使用的时候需要先解冻 thaw， 然后进行体外受精。5天之后，受精卵可以转移到女性的子宫之内进行发育。A pricey proposition. An even more uncomfortable fact of egg freezing, it is expensive. It can range from $5,000 to $17,000. For many people, those costs will be out of pocket, but some insurance plans are now covering egg freezing as part of fertility services. A pricey proposition is expensive offer or suggestion. 冻卵是一个非常昂贵的提议或者是意向。Out of pocket 自费，它跟 covered by insurance plan 是一组对应词。Misconceptions about egg freezing. Some women don't realize, for example, that egg freezing doesn't guarantee that you end up with a baby, but it does guarantee the potential for having a baby. Problems can occur at any phase of the process, which is why experts recommend that women freeze many eggs each time they undergo the process. That way, there will be more to choose from. 冻卵不代表一定会有孩子，因为每个步骤都有可能出问题，所以建议一次多取几个卵子供选择。Some women worry that the egg freezing process will have a negative impact on their long-term fertility, but that's not true. There won't be fewer eggs in the future because we're just rescuing the ones that were going to die that month anyway. 冻卵是不会提前把卵子取完的，它是把当月本来要排出的卵子催熟后取出。A female was born with all the eggs she'll ever produce. To my surprise, there are about 1 or 2 million eggs. I thought it was no more than several hundreds. 女性出生的时候大概有100-200万的卵泡，但是在正常发育的情况下，只会有400到500的卵子排出。Research does suggest that women who freeze their eggs before age 34 have the highest probability of giving birth to a baby. The older a woman is when she freezes her eggs, the slimmer her chances. 34岁之前冻卵的生育机会是最大的。Slim chance or possibility 很小的几率。那形容一个人身材苗条也可以用 slim, tall and slim, 高挑。Despite all the risk and hardships that freezing eggs might entail, don't ever underestimate a woman's resolution to have a baby, just as anything a woman is determined to achieve.
And ladies, don't let anybody tell you you are ever past your prime. Never give up.
This is Headlines. I'll see you next week.